Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Team of the Decade video. This time we are doing the halfbacks. So scrum half and fly half. And we'll kick it off then, starting off with who my best number 9 was of the decade. Now there's a couple of choices in here. For me it's between two players mainly, one's from New Zealand, one's from Australia. There's Aaron Smith from the All Blacks and Will Genia from the Aussies. Both have been outstanding. I mean, the South Africans have had multiple brilliant scrum halves through the decades as well. You've got Faf de Klerk recently, although it's too recent, and Dupree as well, but before de Klerk, who was also very good. But for me, it's between Aaron Smith and Will Genia, and both are fantastic in their own ways. Aaron Smith with the darting runs, Will Genia does the same as well. But for me, I am going to go with Will Genia. I think he's just pipped it. I just have that feeling that for me, he was just slightly better this decade than Aaron Smith. Don't get me wrong, they're both insane players and both insane scrum halves. But Will Genia really helped Australia, especially in the 2015 World Cup. I think he was on fire during that tournament, helped him get into the final when really I don't think they were favourites for the final that year, and they still managed to get their way to the final with help from Will Genia. He was outstanding during that tournament, and he's been here throughout the whole decade mainly as well. Pretty much. I mean, he's dropped off slightly over the last year or so. He's now retired internationally. 2019 wasn't his best year ever, but you know that's 1 year out of a possible 10. And yeah, I think that Will Genia has just been absolutely fantastic and has been a pivotal role for Australia in the success they've had. I know they haven't had much success over the decade, but when they've played well during 2015 World Cup, that period when they weren't playing too badly, he was in his prime and he was playing fantastically. Yeah, Aaron Smith was a fantastic player for New Zealand. He was exceptional, and I could have easily have picked him, and most people would understand. I would understand why people would pick him, but I'm going a bit different, and I'm saying Will Genia is going to be my number 9 of the decade. To fly half now then, and again, same with this one. I've got 2 or 3 options. Owen Farrell is an option, Dan Carter's an option, and Johnny Sexton's an option. Those 3 are the ones who have really shone for me over this decade. All 3 of them have been Johnny Sexton and Owen Farrell are the ones who have been here for the whole decade. Dan Carter retired, of course, after 2015. But even though he did retire in 2015, I'm giving my number 10 spot to Dan Carter. And main reason is just how fantastic he is. He wasn't there during the 2011 World Cup because of injury, but he was still a fantastic player during those years, even when he was injured. And coming to the end of his career, when players drop off, he never did. He was still a fantastic player, still hitting the heights he was back in his prime. And 2015, he really went off on a high, helping New Zealand win the World Cup and just being a fantastic player. For me, mainly it was between him and Sexton. They've both been brilliant players. They've both won Player of the Year at least once in this decade, but I felt that Dan Carter just pips him. He's won Player of the Year twice. He's won much more with New Zealand, and he's just been outstanding over the years he was here last decade. And Johnny Sexton, it's a bit like the scrum half role. I can see why people would pick Johnny Sexton because he has been, as I said before, outstanding. A simply brilliant player. The way he plays, creating attacks, he's just a different player. In his best form, he's almost difficult to play against. But for me, he's just a bit too inconsistent. And even though he's been here for the whole decade, Dan Carter was always hitting the heights. during his time in this decade, during those 5 years. He was always hitting heights of one of the best players in the world, which he was. He was definitely one of the best players in the world, and he's fully deserved of a number 10 spot in the team of the decade. I've got to give Owen Farrell a mention as well. He's been outstanding. If he carries on his ways during the next decade, who knows? He'll probably be in this video in the next 10 years' time. But for me, it's got to be Dan Carter. The influence he has on that New Zealand squad was amazing, and he won the Player of the Year. Of course, he won it twice. He won World Cup, and yeah, for me, Dan Carter is my fly half in the team of the decade. So yeah, that is my halfbacks for this team of the decade. If you want to go watch the other videos so far, which involve all the forwards, so the front row, second row and back row, the links will be in the description down below. And yeah, there will be a playlist on the channel of these team of the decades if you want to go and watch that. As I said, description in the link below. Thank you all for watching. Please like, please subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you in a bit.